Ethan Matthews' mansion, morning. The sprawling mansion overlooking the city of San Francisco is silent, save for the occasional sound of the breeze rustling through the open windows. Ethan Matthews, 42, stands by the window, his tall frame silhouetted against the morning light. Despite the luxury surrounding him, state-of-art technology, expensive artwork, and exquisite furniture, there's a heaviness in the air. His once vibrant and determined personality seems to have faded, replaced with a sense of helplessness. Ethan Matthews, a billionaire CEO, had always been a man of great ambition. His life had been dedicated to building his empire, to being in control of every aspect of his business and personal life. Yet, in an unexpected twist of fate, a serious health condition had turned his world upside down. What was once perfectly managed had spiraled into uncertainty. He runs a hand through his short, graying hair, his face weary. Doctors had warned him that his illness would take time to recover from, and he needed rest. But rest was something Ethan was never good at. He had spent decades working tirelessly to become the man he was, but now his body had betrayed him. His once indestructible confidence had been replaced by the reality of his fragile health. Ethan glances at the clock on his wall. 8:30 a.m., the day is just beginning, but Ethan feels as though time has come to a standstill. He sits down at his desk, papers and medical documents scattered in front of him. Even with his health deteriorating, he can't seem to stop thinking about the next project, the next deal. The weight of his responsibilities hangs on him like a boulder. Ethan's assistant, Lily, walks into the office, breaking the silence. She's a professional, dressed in a smart blazer, but her face shows concern as she approaches Ethan. "Mr. Matthews, I've arranged the appointment with the doctor for this afternoon," Lily says, her voice calm but filled with underlying worry. "You should rest today. I've taken care of everything at the office. You don't need to worry about the meetings." Ethan doesn't even look up from his desk. His mind is elsewhere, lost in thoughts of work and the challenges of recovery. "Lily, I appreciate it, but I can't just sit around. There's too much to be done. The board is waiting for me to approve the next steps on the new project." Lily gently places a glass of water on his desk. "Mr. Matthews, I understand, but your health is more important. You need to focus on getting better." Ethan sighs, a deep frustration bubbling to the surface. "I can't afford to rest, Lily. This company won't run itself." Lily hesitates for a moment before speaking again, her voice softer. "I understand, Mr. Matthews, but we've discussed this. You need help. You can't do everything on your own right now." Ethan finally looks up at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of exhaustion and pride. "I don't need anyone's help. I'll handle it." Lily stands there for a moment longer before nodding. "I've taken the liberty of arranging for someone to help you during your recovery. A personal assistant, someone who will take care of you and help manage things at home. She should arrive later today." Ethan raises an eyebrow, irritated. "I didn't ask for anyone to be hired. I don't need help." His tone is sharp, but Lily is unfazed. She knows that Ethan doesn't like to rely on others, but she also knows that he can't keep pushing himself. "It's already arranged, sir. She'll be here soon. I've also called the doctor to make sure everything is in order for your appointment," Lily says, not backing down. Later that afternoon, Ethan is in his study when the doorbell rings. He stands, irritation creeping up his chest. He doesn't want a stranger in his home, especially not someone hired to take care of him. But as he opens the door, he's met with a young woman, standing nervously with a smile that barely masks her anxiety. "Hi, Mr. Matthews. I'm Emma Collins. I've been hired to help take care of you during your recovery." Her voice is gentle, almost too soft, and Ethan's eyes flicker over her briefly. Emma is in her late 20s, with long brown hair and a simple but elegant appearance. She's dressed modestly in a blouse and slacks, a stark contrast to the expensive designer suits he's used to seeing. Ethan doesn't hide his displeasure, his brow furrowing slightly. "I didn't ask for a nurse or a caretaker. I can take care of myself." His voice is cold, but Emma doesn't flinch. She's been through worse people looking down on her because of her background, judging her for being in a role she never asked for. "I understand, sir, but I'm here to help in any way I can." "I know this must be hard for you," Emma says, her voice soft but full of empathy. Ethan studies her for a moment, and for the first time today, he feels a small shift in his chest. Emma's presence is different from Lily's cold professionalism. She seems genuinely kind. Yet there's a certain fragility in her eyes, something that makes Ethan pause. "Fine, you can stay for now, but don't expect me to go easy on you." He steps aside, letting Emma in. She nods respectfully and steps into the room, her voice a little more confident. "I won't, Mr. Matthews. I'm here to make things easier for you, not add to the burden." As the door closes behind them, Ethan feels a shift in the air. His world suddenly feels less controlled, less predictable. But maybe, just maybe, he needed someone to help him through this. Ethan's mansion, a few days later. The early morning light filters through the curtains, casting a warm glow across the spacious living room. Ethan is sitting in his armchair by the window, looking out at the city below. Despite his illness, the routine of managing his empire has been impossible to break. He spent the past few days pacing the mansion, trying to catch up on work. But he can't ignore the reality that his body is no longer capable of handling everything. Ethan rubs his forehead, feeling the tension in his temples. He's never been one to rely on anyone, let alone someone he didn't know. And having Emma Herron, his personal space, feels like an invasion. But his body is tired, and the doctor has insisted that he rest. "Mr. Matthews, breakfast is ready." Emma's voice comes from the doorframe, interrupting his thoughts. Ethan glances up to see her standing there with a tray of food in her hands. She's dressed casually in a simple blouse and jeans, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. Ethan nods, though his face remains impassive. "I'm not hungry," he returns to staring out the window. Unwilling to show any sign of vulnerability, Emma sets the tray down on the table in front of him. She doesn't push him to eat, but instead pulls up a chair and sits nearby. "I know you don't want to rest, Mr. Matthews, but you need to. Your body is telling you something, and it's important that you listen." Ethan turns to look at her, his eyes hard, but there's an underlying sense of exhaustion in them. "I don't need anyone to tell me what I need, Emma." His tone is cold, and she can tell he's trying to put up walls. Emma gives him a soft, understanding smile. "I'm not here to tell you what to do, Mr. Matthews. I just want to make sure you're getting the care you need." She lowers her voice. "I'm here to help." Ethan stares at her for a moment, his eyes scanning her face. There's something calming about her presence, something gentle that he can't easily dismiss. He finds himself, for the first time in days, wanting to let down his guard, but his pride refuses to let him. "I can handle this. I don't need anyone." His voice is quieter now, more resigned than before. Emma doesn't respond immediately. She simply sits quietly, her gaze steady but kind. After a few moments, she speaks again, her voice calm but firm. "I know you're used to doing everything on your own, Mr. Matthews, but you don't have to anymore. I'm here to help, not to take over your life." Ethan's brow furrows as he looks at her, a mixture of irritation and curiosity in his eyes. He doesn't understand why she seems so relentless in her kindness, so persistent in trying to get him to accept help. "Why are you doing this?" he asks, his voice tinged with frustration. "You don't know me. You don't know anything about my life. Why are you bothering to help me?" Emma meets his gaze, her voice unwavering but soft. "Because it's my job to help. And because I believe everyone deserves someone who cares for them." She pauses, her expression serious. "Even billionaires like you." For a moment, Ethan is taken aback by her words. He doesn't know why, but something in the way she said it strikes him. No one ever speaks to him like that. No one has ever dared to challenge his control in such a gentle way. No one ever cared enough to try. Later that day, Ethan is sitting on the couch, staring blankly at the television. His work has piled up, but he's not in the mood to engage with any of it. Emma is in the kitchen, preparing a light meal for him. The silence between them is heavy, but it's also strangely comforting. Ethan watches her move around the kitchen, noticing the ease with which she works. Despite the tension, there's something about her presence that feels reassuring. Ethan sighs, rubbing his temples. He hates this feeling, this sense of helplessness, this feeling of being cared for by someone else. He's not used to it, and he's not sure if he ever will be. "You don't have to do all this. You know," he finally says, breaking the silence. Emma looks up from the stove, a faint smile playing at the corners of her lips. "I don't mind. It's part of the job. And besides, it's nice to see someone finally take care of you." Ethan raises an eyebrow, his lips curling into a small smirk despite himself. "I don't need someone to take care of me." He feels a small pang of embarrassment, but doesn't show it. Emma laughs softly, shaking her head as she places the meal in front of him. "That's not what I see, Mr. Matthews. You may be strong, but everyone needs a little help sometimes." She sits across from him, her eyes steady but kind. "And I'm here to help, whether you like it or not." Ethan doesn't respond immediately. He looks down at the meal she prepared, simple yet comforting. It's the first time in days that he feels something other than frustration and guilt. Evening, Ethan's mansion. The night has fallen, and the mansion is quiet. Ethan is lying in bed, staring up at the ceiling, unable to sleep. His thoughts are racing. The house is so still, so empty, just like he feels inside. He hears footsteps down the hallway, the soft click of shoes on the floor. Emma's figure appears in the doorway, her silhouette barely visible in the dim light. "Mr. Matthews, are you feeling okay?" Emma asks gently, standing in the doorway. She's brought him a glass of water, but she hesitates before entering fully. Ethan turns his head, meeting her gaze. For a moment, he says nothing. But then he finally speaks, his voice low. "I don't know, Emma. I've spent my entire life building this empire, and now it feels like everything is slipping away." Emma steps closer, setting the glass on the nightstand beside him. She doesn't say anything and first just sits beside him, offering the silent support that Ethan has always rejected. She finally speaks, her voice steady and comforting. "It's okay to feel vulnerable, Mr. Matthews." Her words are simple, but there's truth in them. something Ethan hasn't heard in years. You don't have to be in control of everything. It's okay to let someone else in. Ethan looks at her, his chest tightening. For the first time in a long time, he feels the weight of his pride begin to crack. Maybe, just maybe, he doesn't have to carry everything on his own anymore. Maybe it's time to let go. Ethan's mansion, late morning. The mansion feels quieter than usual. The soft hum of the morning routine interrupted only by the sound of Emma moving around the kitchen. Ethan is in his study, going over paperwork, but he can't shake the feeling of being overwhelmed by the mountain of tasks that are piling up. His mind, though still active with work, keeps wandering to the thoughts of his recent conversations with Emma. Ethan sighs deeply, rubbing his eyes. It's been a week since Emma arrived, and while he's tried to keep his distance, there's something about her presence that has become comforting in ways he can't explain. He's used to being the one who takes charge, the one who provides and controls everything, but with Emma, it feels like the roles have shifted. He's the one who's dependent, and it doesn't sit well with him. But as he sits in his chair, staring at the blank page in front of him, he realizes how much he's changed since she arrived. She doesn't just care for him physically, like someone hired to do a job. She listens. She's there, without judgment, without hesitation, offering something he didn't even realize he was missing. Comfort and emotional support. He hears the soft click of the door, and Emma enters the room, her footsteps quiet but confident. "Mr. Matthews, I've made some lunch for you. I thought you might need a break." Ethan glances up at her, his eyes still clouded with exhaustion, but there's a softness in her expression that catches him off guard. "I'm not hungry, Emma," he says, trying to sound firm, but his voice is weak. Emma smiles gently, unbothered by his resistance. "You need to eat, and it's important to rest. It's not just about food, Mr. Matthews. It's about taking care of yourself." She places the lunch on the desk in front of him and pulls up a chair. Sitting down without waiting for an invitation, Ethan raises an eyebrow, clearly surprised. "You don't have to sit with me. I can manage this on my own." But Emma isn't backing down. "I'm not here just to make your meals, Mr. Matthews. I'm here to make sure you're okay. That's my job." Her voice is soft, but filled with a quiet resolve. For a moment, Ethan feels a pang of discomfort. But then he realizes it's the first time someone has genuinely cared about his well-being in a long time. He stares at the food in front of him, the simple meal she's prepared, something easy, warm, and comforting. It's not what he expected, but it's exactly what he needed. He finally picks up the fork and begins to eat, his actions slow, deliberate. He's not sure why he's letting Emma in, but for the first time in a long while, it feels like the right thing to do. Afternoon, Ethan's mansion. Emma is in the living room, tidying up, while Ethan rests on the couch. His body still aches, and although he's been reluctant to admit it, he's starting to feel the toll of his illness. He's been pushing himself too hard. But the thought of slowing down, of not being the one in control, terrifies him. Emma looks over at Ethan from the other side of the room, noticing the tiredness in his posture. She walks over and sits down beside him, placing a glass of water on the coffee table. "How are you feeling today?" she asks, her voice gentle but concerned. Ethan looks at her, feeling the familiar walls in his mind start to crumble. He hasn't spoken to anyone about how helpless he's been feeling lately. "I'm fine. Just tired." His voice is low, guarded, but Emma's gaze remains steady. "It's okay not to be fine, Mr. Matthews. You don't always have to be the strong one. Ethan stiffens slightly at her words, but he doesn't pull away. For a moment, he considers brushing her off, but something inside him stops him. Maybe it's the sincerity in her voice, or maybe it's the way she looks at him like she sees him, not just the CEO, but the man behind the title. He takes a deep breath and finally speaks, his voice tinged with vulnerability. I've spent my whole life building this empire, Emma, but now, I don't know if any of it matters. He shakes his head, frustration creeping into his tone. I'm stuck, and I don't know how to get out. Emma listens quietly, her expression softening. It's not easy to let go of control. I can see that, but maybe what you need isn't controlled. Maybe you just need to let yourself feel. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be yourself. Ethan looks at her, feeling a mix of confusion and gratitude. I don't know how to be that man anymore. His voice is barely above a whisper. Emma reaches out, placing her hand on his. You don't have to figure it out all at once. You've been through a lot, and you're allowed to heal. Ethan. Her voice is reassuring, but there's a softness in her touch that makes him feel safe. For the first time since his illness began, Ethan feels a sense of relief, a weight lifting from his chest. He closes his eyes for a moment, taking in the quiet comfort of the moment. Late afternoon, Ethan's mansion. The evening light begins to fade, and the mansion grows quieter. Emma is finishing up her work in the kitchen when Ethan walks into the room, looking somewhat refreshed. He's surprised by how much better he feels after talking to Emma, even if it's just a small breakthrough. I think I'm ready to take a walk outside. Emma, Ethan says, his voice stronger than before. Emma looks up from the stove, surprised but pleased. That's a good idea, Mr. Matthews. You should get some fresh air. I'll make sure everything's taken care of here. Ethan nods, his eyes meeting hers. Thank you for everything. Emma smiles softly, a warmth in her expression that Ethan hasn't seen in a long time. It's my pleasure, Mr. Matthews. I'm here for you. Outside, Ethan steps out into the garden. The evening air is cool and refreshing. He stands there for a moment, letting the wind brush against his face, feeling the weight of the world lift just slightly. For the first time in weeks, he allows himself to breathe without feeling the constant pressure of his responsibilities. Emma joins him a few moments later, standing quietly beside him. They don't need to speak. The silence is comfortable, and for once, Ethan feels at peace. He might not have all the answers, but right now, with Emma by his side, he knows that for the first time in a long while, he's not alone. Ethan's mansion, early morning. The sun filters through the windows, casting a soft glow on the grand room. Ethan sits at the breakfast table, the usual pile of work he'd bring with him each morning now replaced with a simple, light breakfast that Emma had prepared for him. It's been a few days since their last conversation, and Ethan feels more rested than he has in weeks. For the first time in a long while, Ethan feels a sense of calm. The anxiety that usually plagued him during his recovery has dulled somewhat, and he finds himself enjoying the peaceful silence of the morning. But something's different now, Ma. She's been a quiet presence in his life. And though he didn't want to admit it at first, he knows that he relies on her in ways he never thought possible. Good morning. Mr. Matthews, how are you feeling today? Emma's voice pulls him from his thoughts. She's standing in the doorway, a soft smile on her lips as she watches him. Ethan smiles back, though there's still some hesitation in his expression. I feel better, Emma. Much better. He takes a sip of his coffee, the warm liquid soothing his nerves. Thank you for everything. I'm not sure how I would have gotten through this without your help. Emma walks over to the table, setting down a fresh batch of fruit. You're welcome, Mr. Matthews. It's my job to make sure you get better. She pauses, looking at him carefully. But you've also been doing most of the work yourself. I've just been here to help guide you along. Ethan stares at her for a moment, noticing the sincerity in her eyes. It's a quality he's come to respect, though he's reluctant to admit it. I don't like being dependent on anyone, but you've made this easier, more manageable. He chuckles softly. It's strange. I'm used to controlling everything in my life, but lately I feel like I'm losing that control. And honestly, I'm not sure if that's a bad thing. Emma smiles, a quiet understanding in her gaze. Sometimes losing control is what we need to heal, Mr. Matthews. You've been running for so long. It's okay to slow down now. Ethan looks at her, feeling a strange mix of relief and vulnerability. He's used to being the one who has all the answers, who's in charge, but with Emma, he's beginning to see that there's another way of living, one that involves accepting help, being vulnerable, and maybe even allowing someone else to lead for once. Later that afternoon, Ethan is sitting on the terrace of the mansion, looking out at the expansive garden. The wind is gentle, and the tranquility of the moment is comforting. He's had a busy day of phone calls, meetings, and catching up on work. But now, for the first time in a while, he feels like he has space to breathe. Emma comes outside, holding a tray with drinks. I thought you might like some fresh lemonade, Mr. Matthews. She sets the tray down beside him, sitting across from him. A soft smile on her face. Ethan takes the glass from her, the cool drink refreshing him. Thank you, Emma. He pauses for a moment, studying her face. You know, I've never been good at accepting help, but you make it easy. It's strange feeling this way. Emma leans back in her chair, her eyes soft but knowing. It's not strange. It's just part of the process. You're healing, Ethan, and part of healing is letting go of the need to do everything on your own. Ethan looks out at the garden again, deep in thought. Emma has become more than just a caretaker. He finds himself looking forward to her presence each day. The conversations they share, and the small moments of connection that happen when they're together. There's a warmth he hasn't felt in a long time, and it's not just because of the healing process. It's because of her. You're right, he says, after a long pause. I don't know why I've fought so hard against needing anyone. Maybe it's because I've always had to take care of everything, control everything. But now, I'm starting to see that I don't have to do it all alone. Emma smiles, her eyes kind and gentle. You're learning, Ethan. It's a good thing. For the first time in weeks, Ethan feels a sense of peace settling over him. He's not in control of everything, and maybe that's okay. Maybe that's exactly what he needs. Evening, Ethan is sitting in his study, reviewing a few final documents for his company, but his thoughts keep drifting back to Emma. He doesn't know why, but there's something about her presence that has begun to fill a void he hadn't even realized existed. When he looks up from his paperwork, he finds himself wondering what she's doing, where she is, and why he's started to feel so different. There's a knock at the door, and Emma enters, her expression warm but cautious. I've prepared a light dinner for you. I thought you might want something to eat before you get too caught up in work again. Ethan smiles, though there's a hint of genuine appreciation behind it. I didn't realize how much I needed this, Emma. I think you might be saving me from myself. She smiles back, a quiet, knowing smile that makes Ethan feel even more conflicted. I'm just doing my job, Mr. Matthews, but I'm happy to help in any way I can. As she sets the food on the table in front of him, Ethan watches her for a moment, realizing just how much he's come to rely on her, not just for physical care, but for the comfort she brings into his life. He hadn't expected this to happen. He hadn't expected to feel so connected to someone, especially someone who was just hired to care for him. Later that night, Ethan lies in bed, staring at the ceiling, his mind racing. The stillness of the mansion is both peaceful and unsettling. As much as he wants to focus on his work, he can't stop thinking about Emma, her gentle smile, her kindness, and the way she's made him feel safe for the first time in a long while. He reaches for his phone, hesitates, then quickly sets it back down. There's something about Emma, something real, that makes him question everything he thought he knew about himself. Maybe, for once, it's time to stop fighting and let someone in. Ethan's mansion, late morning. The sun filters through the large windows, casting a soft glow over the grand living room. Ethan sits by the window, his laptop open in front of him. But today, he doesn't feel like working. His thoughts are consumed with the changes in his life and the growing presence of Emma. Ethan leans back in his chair, staring out at the city skyline. For the first time in weeks, he's not thinking about work or the merger deal that's been hanging over his head. His thoughts keep drifting back to Emma, her calm demeanor, her quiet kindness, the way she has been a constant, steady presence in his life. He hasn't wanted to admit it, but he feels something for her. It's not just gratitude for her help, it's deeper than that. There's a sense of connection he hasn't felt in a long time, and he doesn't know how to handle it. Mr. Matthews, lunch is ready. Emma's voice brings him out of his thoughts. He turns to see her standing in the doorway, a plate of food in her hands. Her smile is soft, but there's something in her eyes that Ethan can't quite place. I'm not hungry, Emma, he says, though the words feel weak. He knows he should eat, but he's not in the mood. He's too distracted by the growing feelings inside him. Emma sets the food down on the table in front of him. Her movements calm and efficient. She doesn't argue or push him to eat. Instead, she sits down across from him, watching him carefully. You haven't been eating much lately, Mr. Matthews. You need to take care of yourself. Ethan meets her gaze, feeling a flicker of guilt. I know, Emma. It's just, I've been thinking a lot lately. About my life, my work, and everything that's been going on. Emma nods, her expression understanding. It's okay to think about those things, but you can't forget to take care of yourself in the process. Ethan sighs, rubbing his eyes. I know, I just don't know how to stop. I've spent my whole life being in control, pushing myself to be the best, and now everything feels out of control. His voice cracks slightly, and he feels a wave of vulnerability wash over him. Emma doesn't say anything for a moment. She just watches him, her eyes filled with empathy. Finally, she speaks softly. You don't have to do it all alone, Ethan. You don't have to be in control all the time. Ethan looks at her, the sincerity in her voice making him feel seen in a way he hasn't in a long time. He's used to being the one who takes charge, who solves problems. But with Emma, there's a sense of comfort he's not accustomed to, and it both calms him and frightens him. I'm not used to letting go, Ethan admits, his voice barely above a whisper. Emma smiles gently, her voice warm but firm. It's okay to let go sometimes, Ethan. Sometimes you have to let someone else help carry the weight. Late afternoon, Ethan's mansion. Emma is sitting in the living room, reading a book, when Ethan walks in, looking more tired than usual. His illness has been taking its toll, but there's something else weighing on him, something he hasn't been able to ignore. He stands in the doorway for a moment. Watching Emma, her presence in the house has become a comfort, something he didn't realize he needed. She looks up from her book and smiles when she sees him. "How are you feeling today?" Emma asks, her voice gentle. Ethan doesn't answer right away. He's been trying to ignore the growing feelings he has for her, but it's becoming harder to pretend. "I'm better, but there's something I need to say, Emma." His voice is steady, but there's a weight to it. Emma sets the book aside, her expression softening. "What is it, Ethan?" He walks toward her slowly, taking a deep breath. "I've been thinking a lot about everything. About my life, about you." He stops in front of her, his heart beating faster than usual. Emma tilts her head slightly, her eyes searching his face. "What are you saying, Ethan?" He hesitates, unsure of how to express what's been building inside him. "I don't know what it is, Emma, but I can't keep pretending like nothing is happening between us. I feel something, and I don't know what to do with it." Emma's eyes widen slightly, her breath catching in her throat. For a moment, she's silent, processing his words. "Ethan, She pauses, struggling to find the right words. "I didn't expect this. I didn't expect you to feel the same way." Ethan steps closer to her, his voice low and sincere. "I don't know what this is between us, but I do know that I don't want to lose this. Whatever it is." Emma stands up slowly, facing him, her expression softening. She reaches out, gently taking his hand in hers. "I never thought this could happen. I never thought I'd feel this way about you." She smiles faintly, her eyes filled with a mixture of surprise and warmth. "But I think I'm feeling something too." Ethan's heart races as he looks into her eyes. For the first time in what feels like forever, he allows himself to feel hope, to feel connection. This moment, this unexpected shift in their relationship, feels like a new beginning. That evening, Ethan sits at the window, looking out at the city below. Emma is preparing dinner in the kitchen, but Ethan can't shake the feeling that his life is changing, and, for once, he's not afraid of it. The decision he has to make about his future, about what kind of man he wants to be, is no longer about control, but about connection and letting go. He hears the soft sound of footsteps approaching, and before he can turn around, he feels Emma's presence beside him. She places a hand gently on his arm, and for the first time in a long time, he feels calm. "I think we're both in this together now," Emma says quietly, her voice full of tenderness. Ethan looks at her, a smile tugging at his lips. Together. Ethan's mansion, early morning. The mansion is quieter than usual as Ethan sits at his desk, staring at the pile of documents in front of him. His illness has forced him to take a step back from his work, but his mind still races with thoughts of the company, the upcoming merger, and the difficult decision he knows he has to make. He glances over at the corner of the room where Emma is quietly organizing some of his things. Ethan feels the weight of his responsibilities bearing down on him. Even though he's physically incapable of managing everything as he once did, he watches Emma work, the steady rhythm of her movements somehow comforting. For the first time in a long while, he realizes that he's not alone. That he has someone by his side who cares, someone who genuinely wants to help, not just out of duty, but out of kindness. But he's still struggling with the emotional distance he's been carrying his entire life. He's been so used to controlling every aspect of his world that letting go even just a little feels like surrender. You're up early today. Emma's voice cuts through his thoughts as she walks over to his desk, placing a mug of coffee beside him. Ethan looks up, startled by her presence. I can't stop thinking about everything. Work, the merger, my health, ... It feels like I'm drowning. He rubs his eyes, his frustration clear in his tone. Emma sits down beside him, her expression soft and understanding. You don't have to do it all on your own, Ethan. I'm here to help, even if it's just being here when you need a break. She pauses, looking at him with gentle concern. I can see how hard you're trying to carry all of this. But you don't have to do everything right now. Ethan feels a lump form in his throat. Her kindness is overwhelming, and for a moment, he lets his guard down. I don't know how to stop. I've spent my entire life making things happen. It's who I am. Emma's voice is quiet but steady. You don't have to be everything to everyone, Ethan. You can take a step back. You can let others help. She reaches out and places a hand on his. The gesture is simple, but it makes Ethan feel something he hasn't felt in a long time, accepted. Even in his weakness, he looks at her, his gaze softening. I don't want to burden you, Emma. I've never been good at relying on others. Emma smiles gently, squeezing his hand. You're not burdening me. I'm here because I want to be. And I want to help you, not just because it's my job, but because I care. Ethan's heart skips a beat. He looks down at their joined hands, realizing that for the first time in years, he's starting to feel something real, something beyond the walls he's built around himself. He lets out a deep sigh, his shoulders relaxing. I think I've been avoiding what really matters, he says quietly, his voice almost a whisper. I've been so focused on everything outside of me that I forgot what's important, what I need, what I want. Emma looks at him, her eyes filled with understanding. It's never too late to figure that out, Ethan. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be real. Afternoon. Ethan and Emma are sitting in the garden behind the mansion. The weather is warm and the garden is peaceful, with the sounds of birds chirping and leaves rustling in the breeze. They are sitting on a bench, a comfortable silence between them as Ethan takes in the fresh air. For the first time in weeks, he feels at peace. Ethan leans back, his eyes closed as he soaks in the warmth of the sun. He can hear Emma softly humming beside him, her presence grounding him in a way he hadn't expected. He feels her eyes on him, and he opens his eyes to meet her gaze. You seem calmer today, Emma observes, her voice soft. Ethan nods, a small smile tugging at his lips. I do. I'm realizing that I've been running from the wrong things. He pauses, looking out at the garden again. It's easy to get caught up in all the work, all the expectations. But it's not everything. Emma watches him, her heart warmed by his words. I think you're beginning to see that, she says gently, her voice full of encouragement. There's more to life than just work. There's love, there's connection, there's peace in knowing that you don't have to do it all alone. Ethan looks at her, his heart suddenly heavy. Emma, this woman who has been so kind to him, so selfless, has become more than just a caretaker. She's become someone he can trust, someone who makes him feel safe. I don't know where this is going, Emma, but I can't deny that I'm feeling something for you. Something I didn't expect. he says, his voice low, vulnerable. Emma's expression softens, her heart skipping a beat. I didn't expect it either, but I'm here. Whatever happens, I'm here for you, Ethan. She reaches out and touches his arm gently, her fingers brushing against his skin. I'm not going anywhere. Later that evening, Ethan and Emma sit down for dinner, the table set in the elegant dining room. The meal is simple, yet comforting just the way Ethan likes it. They eat in silence at first, but the air between them is different, now lighter, more open. Ethan looks across the table at Emma, noticing the way the candlelight reflects in her eyes. For the first time, he doesn't feel like he's faking anything. He feels genuine in his interactions with her, and that scares him more than anything else. I'm glad you're here. Emma, I don't think I've said that enough, he says, his voice soft but sincere. Emma smiles, her eyes filled with warmth. I'm glad I'm here too, Ethan, and I'm glad you're starting to see what matters. Ethan nods, looking down at his plate. The truth is, he's scared of what's ahead. He's scared of letting go of control, of allowing someone else into his life, his heart. But deep down, he knows he has to. He knows that this is the right path. Later that night, Ethan lies in bed, staring at the ceiling. He's been thinking about his conversation with Emma, the moments they've shared. He feels something stirring inside him, something he hasn't felt in years. For the first time, he feels like he's not alone. And maybe, just maybe, he's ready to stop being the man who hides behind his work and lets someone else in. As he closes his eyes, he knows that his life is changing, and it's not about work or success. It's about letting go and embracing the things that truly matter: connection, love, and the people who care about him. Ethan's mansion, late afternoon. The mansion is bathed in the golden light of the setting sun, casting long shadows across the spacious living room. Ethan stands by the window, looking out at the city below, his thoughts heavy. The quiet hum of the house contrasts sharply with the storm brewing inside him. He's been avoiding the truth for weeks now, but he knows it's time to face it. He can feel the weight of his feelings for Emma. They've grown stronger with each passing day. And as much as he wants to deny it, he knows that he can't hide from them forever. He's used to being in control, being the one who makes the decisions, who has everything planned out. But with Emma, he feels something different. He feels vulnerable, uncertain, and for the first time in a long time, he finds that he doesn't mind, Mr. Matthews. Emma's voice breaks through his thoughts, soft and gentle. She enters the room, holding a tray with a cup of tea. She's been attentive to him in ways that he hadn't expected. And it's clear now that his feelings for her go beyond the professional caregiver role she was hired for. He turns to her, forcing a small smile. Thank you, Emma. His voice is warm, but there's a hint of uncertainty in his eyes. He wants to talk to her, but he doesn't know how to start. Emma sets the tray down on the coffee table and sits beside him, her eyes soft and understanding. Is everything all right? You've been quiet today. Ethan hesitates for a moment before speaking, his voice lower than usual. I've been thinking a lot. About everything. About my life, my work, and about you. His voice cracks slightly as he says the last part. A wave of vulnerability he's not used to showing anyone. Emma looks at him, her eyes filled with concern. You don't have to explain anything, Ethan. But if you want to talk, I'm here. Ethan takes a deep breath, trying to steady himself. I think I've been avoiding this, but I can't anymore. Emma, the truth is, I don't know how to deal with the feelings I have for you. His voice falters for a moment, but he continues. You've been so kind to me, and I don't know how to respond. Emma's eyes soften, and she places a gentle hand on his arm. Ethan, you don't have to have all the answers right now. But I think you need to let yourself feel. Let yourself be open to something more. Ethan looks at her, his chest tightening. He wants to open up to her, to let her in, but there's a part of him that's terrified of what that would mean. He's been afraid of losing control, of letting someone into his life in a way that could hurt him. I've spent my whole life keeping everything in check, Emma. I've always been the one in control. But now I feel like I'm losing that, and it scares me. His voice trembles slightly as he confesses his fear. I don't know how to let go. Emma smiles softly, squeezing his arm reassuringly. It's okay to be scared, Ethan. It's okay to let go sometimes. Life is about balance, and part of that is learning to trust others, to trust yourself and your feelings. Ethan stares at her, his emotions swirling. He's been running from this for so long, afraid of what it would mean to open up, to admit that he doesn't have all the answers. But in Emma's presence, he feels a sense of peace he hasn't felt in years. Maybe it's time to stop running. Later that evening, the mansion is quiet once again. Ethan sits on the balcony, staring out at the city, deep in thought. Emma is in the kitchen, preparing a light dinner for the two of them, and the soothing sounds of her movements fill the house. Ethan feels a strange mix of relief and tension. He knows the time has come to make a decision, but he's unsure of what path to take. His phone buzzes, and he looks down to see a message from Isabel. Ethan, I've been thinking about what you said. I understand that you need time, but I can't keep waiting. Please, let me know where we stand. The message hits him hard. Isabel has always been there for him, but he knows that he's been avoiding, making the difficult decision that could change everything. He's stuck between two worlds, one with Isabel and one with Emma, and now he realizes that he has to make a choice. Ethan stands in front of the window again, the city lights twinkling below. Emma enters the room, carrying the dinner she prepared. She sets it down on the table beside him and sits down, watching him carefully. Ethan, what's going on? You've been distant all day. Her voice is gentle, but there's an edge of concern in it. Ethan turns to look at her, his gaze soft but uncertain. I've been thinking about what you said, about letting go, and about Isabel, and about you. Emma reaches out and places her hand on his. Ethan, I don't want to rush you. I just want you to know that I'm here for you, no matter what. I care about you, but I want you to make your decision with a clear mind. Not because of me, but because it's what's best for you. Ethan feels the weight of her words, and for the first time in a long time, he feels like he's being understood. He looks at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and uncertainty. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, Emma, but I know I can't keep living like this, stuck in between. His voice cracks slightly, the weight of his emotions finally surfacing. I don't want to hurt anyone, but I don't want to keep hiding from the truth anymore. Emma smiles softly, squeezing his hand. You don't have to have all the answers right now, Ethan, but I believe that you'll find your way. That night, Ethan lies in bed, staring at the ceiling. His mind races as he replays his conversation with Emma, her words echoing in his mind. He realizes that he's standing at a crossroads, and it's up to him to decide which path to take. But for the first time in weeks, he feels a sense of clarity. He's ready to make a decision. As he closes his eyes, the decision seems clearer. He's tired of living in fear. It's time to choose, and he knows what he has to do. Ethan's mansion, early morning. The mansion is quiet. The only sound is the soft rustling of the trees outside as the wind blows gently through the open windows. Ethan sits in his study, the morning light streaming in, but he's lost in thought. A pile of work-related documents and a message from Isabel lay untouched on the desk. His mind is occupied with one thing. His decision, asterisk, it's been days since. His conversation with Emma, he's been avoiding making the choice. But the weight of Isabel's message and his growing feelings for Emma have forced him to confront the truth. He has to choose. His health is still fragile, and the pressure of the merger, coupled with the emotional toll of his personal life, has become overwhelming. The phone buzzes on the desk, interrupting his thoughts. It's from Isabel, double quotes Ethan. I've been thinking about what you said. I can't keep waiting. I need to know where we stand. Please, make your decision. Ethan stares at the screen for a long moment, his heart heavy with guilt and uncertainty. He has always been the one who made decisions, who controlled his life and his company. But now, in this moment of vulnerability, he realizes that control is something he's never truly had in his personal life. Love, family, and connection were things he had neglected, things he hadn't known how to balance with his ambitions. He takes a deep breath, his fingers hovering over his phone. He has to make this decision, but he doesn't know if he's ready. That afternoon, Ethan meets with Isabel at the same cafe they'd met before. She's already seated when he arrives, her face calm but her eyes revealing a deep sense of anticipation. Ethan walks over to her, feeling the tension in the air. Isabel looks up at him, her gaze steady. Ethan, we need to talk. Her voice is calm, but there's a sharpness to it that makes Ethan's chest tighten. Ethan sits down across from her, his mind racing. I've been thinking a lot about everything. About you, about my life, about what I really want. His voice falters slightly, the weight of his emotions coming to the surface. Isabel leans forward slightly, her eyes searching his face. What do you mean? She asks softly. Ethan takes a deep breath. I can't keep living like this. I've been running from the truth for so long. I care about you, Isabel, but I've realized that I can't give you everything you need if I'm still fighting with myself. Isabel's face softens for a moment, but there's still an edge of disappointment in her eyes. Ethan, I've waited for you to make a choice. I can't keep waiting. If you're not ready, then I need to move on. Ethan's heart sinks. He's been afraid of this moment for so long, but now that it's here, he feels more certain than ever. I don't want to hurt you, Isabel, but I can't be the man you need if I'm not honest with myself. Isabel nods slowly, her face hardening slightly as she stands. I understand, Ethan. I wanted more. I wanted a future with you, but I can't keep waiting for something that might never come. Ethan watches her walk away, a heavy ache in his chest. He knows it was the right decision, but it doesn't make it any easier. He feels the weight of the end of an era, the end of a relationship that, for so long, he thought was the right fit for him that evening. Ethan finds himself sitting by the window again, staring out at the city below. The decision has been made, and while part of him feels relief, another part of him feels the sting of loss. His thoughts drift to Emma, her kindness, her patience, and the quiet way she has supported him. He feels something real when he's with her, something he's never felt before. The door creaks open, and Emma walks in, holding a glass of water. "Ethan, are you okay? You've been so quiet today." She places the glass on the table beside him, sitting down next to him. Ethan doesn't answer right away. His mind is still replaying his conversation with Isabel, the finality of it. But as he looks at Emma, he realizes that he has made the right choice. She's the one who has been there for him, not just physically, but emotionally. She's the one who's helped him rebuild, even without him asking for it. "I've made my decision, Emma," Ethan finally says, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I ended things with Isabel. I realized that I wasn't being fair to either of us by continuing to pretend." Emma's expression softens, her hand gently resting on his. "I'm glad you're being honest with yourself, Ethan, but you don't have to do this alone. Whatever happens, I'm here for you." Ethan turns to her, his eyes full of gratitude and relief. "I know, and I'm so grateful for you. I don't know what I would have done without you." They sit in silence for a moment, the weight of their shared connection hanging between them. For the first time, Ethan feels like he's not alone. The journey ahead is uncertain, but with Emma by his side, he feels ready to face it. Later that night, Ethan lies in bed, staring at the ceiling. But for the first time in a long time, his mind feels clear. He knows that he's made the right choice. He has let go of the past, and now he's ready to embrace what comes next. The future is still unknown, but he's no longer afraid. With Emma by his side, he's ready to build something real, something meaningful. As he closes his eyes, he feels a sense of peace settle over him. For the first time in years, he knows he's on the right path. Ethan's mansion, early morning. The mansion is quiet as usual, but this morning there's a sense of peace in the air. Ethan stands by the window, looking out at the city below. The sunlight is warm, and for the first time in weeks, he doesn't feel the weight of the world on his shoulders. His thoughts are clear, and his heart is at ease. He feels ready for the next chapter in his life. The events of the past few months, his illness, his time with Emma, the decision to part ways with Isabel have shaped him into someone new. He's learned that control isn't everything. That vulnerability can be a source of strength, and that love is something worth fighting for. He turns around to see Emma entering the room, a tray of breakfast in her hands. She sets it down on the table in front of him, her smile soft and warm. "Good morning, Mr. Matthews," Emma says, her voice gentle. The warmth of her smile fills the room, and Ethan feels his heart swell. This is what he's been missing, what he's needed all along. Ethan smiles back, his eyes full of gratitude. "Good morning, Emma." He takes a deep breath, finally feeling the weight of his decisions begin to settle. "I've been thinking a lot about everything, about my life, my choices, and about you." Emma sits down beside him, watching him carefully. "What are you thinking, Ethan?" Ethan looks at her, his voice steady but full of emotion. "I'm thinking that for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm making the right choice, that I'm living for what truly matters, and I want that to be with you." Emma's eyes widen slightly, and she leans forward, her expression softening. "Ethan, you're sure?" Ethan nods, his hand gently resting on hers. "I'm sure. I've spent my entire life chasing things, success, control, perfection. But what I've realized is that love and connection are what make life worth living. And you, Emma, you've shown me that." For a moment, neither of them speaks. They just sit in the quiet of the room, the weight of his words sinking in. It's as if a door has opened between them, and Ethan feels a sense of relief he didn't even know he was missing. He's ready to embrace the future. No more running. No more avoiding what he truly wants. Emma smiles, her eyes glistening with tears. I've never known anyone who could open up the way you just did. It's okay to let go, Ethan. It's okay to be happy. She squeezes his hand, her voice soft but full of love. And I'm here, always. Ethan pulls her into a gentle embrace, feeling her warmth, her comfort, and realizing that this is what it feels like to be truly seen, truly cared for. For the first time, he feels whole. A few weeks later, the mansion has become a home filled with laughter, comfort, and a sense of peace that Ethan hasn't felt in years. The once empty cold hallways are now filled with life, as Ethan and Emma spend more time together, navigating their relationship. Ethan's health is improving, and while he still has moments of struggle, he now has the strength and support to face them. Ethan stands by the window, looking out at the horizon. He's made significant strides in his recovery, but it's not just his physical health that's improving. His heart feels lighter, his mind clearer, and his soul more at peace. I think we've come a long way. Emma's voice is soft as she steps into the room behind him. Ethan smiles, turning to face her. We have, and it's been the best decision I've made. She walks over to him, standing beside him, their arms brushing together. I think we both needed this change. This new start. Ethan nods, his eyes soft with emotion. I didn't realize how much I needed you, Emma. How much I needed this. He pauses, a smile tugging at his lips. This life. Emma smiles back, her hand gently resting on his. We're just getting started, Ethan. We have so much more to look forward to. They stand there together, looking out at the city that's now full of possibilities. The world outside feels like a new beginning, a fresh start. Not just for Ethan, but for both of them. Ethan's office, a few months later. Ethan sits at his desk, a pile of paperwork in front of him, but this time, there's no pressure. He's made significant changes in his life and his company. He's still the CEO of his empire, but now, he's not alone in the journey. Emma has been by his side through it all, both personally and professionally. His health is stable, his mind clear, and his heart content. Lily, his assistant, walks in with a stack of papers. But she pauses when she sees the change in Ethan. He's no longer the man who worked himself into the ground. Now, he's someone who knows the value of balance between work, love, and family. Mr. Matthews, you look different, Lily says with a smile. Ethan looks up, his eyes soft and content. I am different, Lily, and it feels like I'm finally where I need to be. Lily laughs softly. I'm glad to hear that. You've worked hard to get here, and you deserve it. Ethan's smile widens, and he looks down at the papers in front of him. It's not about working hard anymore. It's about working smart and making sure I don't lose the things that truly matter. He pauses, his gaze turning to the door where Emma is standing. Smiling at him, Emma steps into the office, her presence calm and steady. Ready to go home? She asks. Ethan stands, walking toward her. He takes her hand in his, their fingers intertwining. Yes, ready to go home. Together, they walk out of the office, side by side, knowing that the future they're building is full of love, possibility, and the peace that comes with choosing the right path.